It's been a long time since you last were here. Just think back to those times that you spent on the field. Think of the breeze blowing in your face, the sun, the tiredness of your feet. Think back to your first year in the band. You were excited to try something new. You thought it was about to be something awesome. Remember your first audition, when you walked in and told the director what you'd like to audition for, and then you began playing the best you could to impress him. So maybe he'd offer you a space in the band. Remember when you got put on your instrument? Maybe it was the instrument you wanted, or maybe it was the instrument that they needed. But anyways, you decided to stay. Think back to band camp, your first time on that field for real. Think about when they had you do drill, had you memorize all the spots on the field. Think about all the exercises that you had to do, the squats, jumping jacks, the Pilates, whatever they had you do. Think about how tired you felt out there when you were waiting for the days to end. Think about when you finally got out inside, when the band director finally called the water break. How nice the water felt in your mouth. Putting it in and it was like a core in your throat, and all you wanted was more and more. You quickly finished half a gallon. Think about when you first started learning the music. How fun it was to listen to the music, and how excited it was to learn something brand new. Think about learning to hold your instrument, learning how to put on your mouthpiece, learning how to put on your drum, whatever instrument you used to play. Now I want you to think about how it felt on that field. It was most likely scorching hot. You were tired, and you finally realized how much of a privilege it is to get to come inside for air conditioning. Remember when all your teammates were brand new and you were meeting them for the first time, and you were excited to see who would spend that season with you? Remember when you performed the first part of your show for the first time? You were most likely nervous, possibly shaking, maybe struggling to hold your instrument and move around in the right space. But you did it, and everybody clapped, and you felt a sense of achievement that can never be matched by anything else. Now, think about your first ever practice, just like band camp, but this time less strenuous. Think about when you showed up late to practice, and the director made you run a lap around the field, how your heels and ankles and soles of your feet ached as you took laps. Think about when you were given push-ups, when your section was given push-ups, whether you did something or not, and how the ache felt in your arms. Think about the repetitiveness of your practice. Think about when the director told you one last time, but really, what she really meant to say is, one last time before the next, one last time before the next, one last time. Think about the relief that you felt at the end of practice. Now think about your first game ever. Sitting up in the stands watching the football team play, actually thoroughly enjoying yourself as you watched and you played stand tunes. Or maybe you didn't enjoy yourself as much. But either way, it was an experience that you'll never forget. Think about the bus ride to and from the game. How you and your section mates used really scarfed it down, and it was like the best thing you ever had. Now think about when it came time for competitions. Think about the bus ride up there. Probably was a long trip. Or maybe it wasn't. But either way, there was a bus ride. Think about stepping onto that field in competition for the first time. Playing the best that you could. And then at the end of the night, where it's starting to get a little cold, and you're sitting there in your uniform as your section leaders go out to the fields and receive awards. Maybe your band got a lot of trophies. Or maybe they didn't get a lot of trophies. But either way, probably came home with something. Think about the triumph, or maybe the disappointment that you felt after that first competition. Think about how it felt to put on that uniform. Maybe you liked it, maybe you didn't, but either way, being in a band with dozens, possibly hundreds of other people wearing the same thing as you, knowing that you're part of something, must have felt great. Now think about the second, third competition. Think about the competition that your band hosted, if they did that, that is, and how y'all had to come in and do jobs and stuff. Think about that last day of practice, that last game of the year. However, probably wasn't the last time for you, as you were coming back another time. Think about looking at the seniors and knowing they're not going to be back for another round. But either way, you're glad that you got to do that first season. Now think about the next few seasons that you did. Maybe you stopped at that first one and said, that's not for me. Maybe you went on to the second. Maybe you went on to the third. Maybe you did all 4 years of marching. Think about your last time going to band camp. Think about your last time going out on that football field. Think about your last competition. And even if you were glad for it to be over, probably felt something tugging at your heart, knowing that you would never perform with this band again, knowing that this is truly the last time you're going to get to do this, knowing that whether you liked it or not, it's all done now. This chapter of your life is all done. Think about all the young people who you might have led, who you might have adopted, who you might have called your own for that period of time, knowing that you're going to leave. And how you probably felt a little bit sad, even if you complained and complained every time something bad happened. How now you don't feel like you want to leave as much. Think about being celebrated on your last game at that home field. How that felt. Knowing that you're going to have to move on, whether you're excited or not, or maybe a little bit of both. Thinking about if you're going to do this after this. Maybe you want to join the drum corps. Maybe you want to go to college marching band. Or maybe you think this is the end for you. You don't want to do this after this. But either way, you just went through an experience, an unforgettable experience, an experience that most people don't do. It's an amazing thing to get to be in the band. It's an amazing thing to have that camaraderie and to have that time together. And even sometimes there's some bad moments. Sometimes you don't want to be on that field. Sometimes you're like, fuck the band. I don't want to do this shit no more. But either way, There's probably some times you liked, even if you were forced into it by your parents. Even if your band director said you had to stay and put marching band on your schedule again. No matter what, you took something out of that experience. That was your experience. And now it's done. I don't know how old you are. I don't know who you are, if you're male or female. I don't know how long you spent in the band. But I know that when you saw this video on your recommended, it called to you. That connection that you have to music will never leave you. One thing I always say is, you can leave the band, but the band never leaves you. Marching band is an experience that leaves a mark on people, an indelible mark. It's something that even if you don't touch music again, you're going to remember it for the rest of your life, most likely. And it's going to be something that you can tell your kids, your grandkids, your friends, your partner later on. And remember, don't be sad that it ended. Be happy that you got to have that experience, the good and the bad, and know that it was worth it. And last of all, remember the band.